Okay, so assalamu alaikum guys. Today I'm starting a new series on people who have no clue about Islam, and I'm calling it blank name has no clue about Islam, and today I'm doing PragerU. Oh goody. Everyone has touched on PragerU at this point, so you guys are gonna bully me for being a dead horse, but I need to start, okay? Because these people have more influence than people like David Wood or Apostate Prophet, not Prophet, Prophet. Yeah, these people have way more. Yeah, these people have way more influence than them, and these are the people that average people are listening to, which is why I need to refute them as well, and not just people like CP being refuted or Islam critiqued. That's Ferd's job, not mine.
I was raised a practicing Muslim and remained one for almost half my life. I attended madrasas, that is Islamic schools, and memorized large parts of the Quran. As a child, I lived in Mecca for a time and frequently visited the Grand Mosque. As a teenager, I sympathized with the Muslim Brotherhood.
I wouldn't say Muslim Brotherhood is a very Islamic organization. I would say they're using Islam as a political tool, but I don't think they're trying to advocate Sharia. And if they say they're trying to advocate Sharia, I don't think they're going to do a good job at it. Just keep going.
At 22, while my family was living in Kenya, my father arranged my marriage to a member of our family clan, a man that I had never met. I ran away, made my way to Holland, studied there, and eventually was elected a member of the Dutch Parliament. Now I live in the United States. In short, I have seen Islam from the inside and the outside. I believe that a reform of Islam is necessary and possible.
Why does it need to reform? Major scholars would disagree, but would agree that forced marriage is prohibited in Islam, so it does need a reform. The culture that you were in, well, not necessarily culture. I'm not very familiar with Kenyan culture, so I'm not trying to claim anything here. But the situation you were in, that needed reform. That needed change. That was not agreeing with the Sharia. Just keep going.
And only Muslims can make that reform a reality. But we in the West cannot remain on the sidelines as though the outcome of this struggle has nothing to do with us. If the jihadists win and the hope for a reformed Islam,
ISIS. Well, I'm assuming you're referring when you're referring to jihadists. I don't think you're referring to actually justify jihadists. I think you're referring to ISIS. So ISIS, which I'm sure you're hinting at here, is not majority Islam. They are reformed Islam. ISIS does not agree with the consensus of the scholars. ISIS is literally a reformist group. That is what they are. Let's keep going.
dies, the rest of the world will pay a terrible price. The terror attacks in New York, London, Madrid, Paris, and many other places are only a preview for what's to come. For this reason, I believe that it's foolish to insist, as Western leaders habitually do, that the violent acts committed in the name of Islam can somehow be divorced from the religion itself. For more than a decade, my message has
Okay, so those violent attacks are not backed by Islam. 9/11 was not backed by Islam. Actually, I'm gonna close up quote from the Quran right now. But the only time we are really justified to fight is when they kick us out of our homes and they kill our families. That is the time when we fight. We fight for self-defense. We fight when our lives, our family, our culture, our nation, that's when we fight. When all those things are at threat, that is when we fight. We do not fight random. We do not fight just for glory and gain. Of course, there are Muslims who do that. That is not backed up by the Quran and the Sunnah, so you can't really say that's part of Islam because it directly contradicts it.
been simple. Islam is not a religion of peace. When I assert this, I do not mean that Islamic belief makes all Muslims violent. This is manifestly not the case. There are many millions of peaceful Muslims in the world. What I do say is that the call to violence and the justification for it are explicitly stated in the sacred.
They aren't explicitly saying the sacred text Quran. You're gonna like quote a verse that's completely out of context. without addressing context. We only hunt those polytheists down, those infidels, as I guess your interpretations like to call it, those infidels, as you like say. We only hunt down them damn infidels when they destroy our homes, kill our families. That was the situation in Mecca. So I don't see your point here. Keep going.
Texts of Islam. Moreover, this theologically sanctioned violence is there to be activated by any number of offenses, including, but not limited to, adultery, blasphemy, homosexuality, and apostasy. That
Islam disagrees with all of those. I mean, yeah, Islam views them as crimes. Just as in some countries, some things is a crime and some things isn't. We don't all have to have the same rules. Unless you're claiming that that is objectively, that homosexuality should be objectively should be supported by everyone.
is to leave Islam. Those who tolerate this intolerance do so at their peril. As someone who has known what it is to live without freedom, I watch in amazement as those who call themselves liberals and progressives, people who claim
Islam is not liberal. Islam is not a liberal religion. We have our own set of morals. So we are not a liberal religion. I won't say we are a liberal religion. We have our own. Liberalism relies on the idea that if it hurts someone, it's bad. If it doesn't, it's good. Islam's not good with that. Islam goes with the idea that if it goes to the Quran, it's good. If it goes against the Quran, it's bad. Well, Quran and Sunnah, but you get the point.
claim to believe so fervently in individual liberty and minority rights make common cause with the forces in the world that manifestly pose the greatest threat to that very freedom and those very minorities. In 2014, I was invited to accept an honorary degree from Brandeis University for the work I have done on behalf of women's rights in the Muslim world. That invitation was withdrawn after professors and students protested my criticism of Islam. My subsequent disinvitation, as it came to be called, was no favor to Muslims, just the opposite.
It was a favor to Muslims. It wasn't a favor to your liberal agenda that you want everyone to follow. And you claim that we are trying to force our religion, but you're trying to force your your interpretation of human rights on us.
Labeling critical examination of Islam as inherently racist, we make the chances of reformation far less likely. There are no limits on criticism of Christianity at American universities or anywhere else for that matter. Why should there be of Islam? Instead of contorting...
Because we don't, I mean, you're allowed to critique Islam. I'll say you're allowed to give constructive criticism against Islam, but not outright slander, which is what we see a lot of the time.
Western intellectual traditions.
Why do we have to go by Western intellectual traditions? We have our own intellectual traditions. The Islamic world is not backwards and barbaric. Look at Ibn Khaldun. Ibn Khaldun revolutionized historiography. You're only allowed to read half of your history books, if not all your history books, if it wasn't for Ibn Khaldun.
So as not to offend our Muslim fellow citizens, we need to defend both those traditions and the Muslim dissidents who take great risks to promote them. We should support these brave men and women in every way possible. Imagine a platform for Muslim dissidents that...
Is she talking about people who left Islam? Or people who have left Islamism, as they put it? Unless she wants like liberal Muslims to have their own platform. I'm not really sure what she's trying to say here. It's kind of contradicting.
That communicated their message through YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. These are the Muslims we should be supporting for our sake as much as for the sake of Islam. In the Cold War, the West celebrated dissidents such as Alexander Solzhenitsyn, Andrei Sakharov, and Václav Havel, who had the courage to challenge the Soviet system from within. Today, there are many dissidents who challenge Islam, but the West either ignores them or dismisses them as not representative. This is a grave mistake. Reformers such as Tawfiq Hamid, Asra Nomani and Zuhi Jasser and many others must be supported and protected. They should be as well known as Solzhenitsyn, Sakharov, and Havel were in the 1980s. If we do in fact support political, social, and religious freedom, then we
Islam supports religious freedom. You claim to memorize the Quran, but you also think that Islam does not support religious freedom.
cannot in good conscience give Islam a free pass on the grounds of multicultural sensitivity. We need to say to Muslims living in the West, if you want to live in our societies, to share in the material benefits, then you need to accept that our freedoms are not optional. Islam is at a crossroads of reformation or self-destruction. But so is the West. I'm Ayan Hirsi Ali of Harvard University for Prager University.
I think her main mistake in this entire video, I would say, is that she thinks ISIS is, I guess, conservative or orthodox Muslims when they're not orthodox or conservative Muslims, as they are rejected by every single conservative Muslim I know. If anything, it's a little teenagers watching those jihadist nasheeds in their bedroom who are supporting them. It is not scholars. I've not seen a single actual scholar, a single scholar who is acclaimed, a single scholar who is supported, say that they support ISIS. ISIS has no background. ISIS is Khawarij. I hope you know what Khawarij is, because you're in Harvard. You should know this stuff. Well, that's it for about now. That's it for now. This is my first video on the series, so it's not gonna be that great in production. I'm kind of sorry. I'm not that well versed in this stuff. Well, for now, assalamu alaikum.